week this has been for Detroit. On Thursday, the Detroit Pistons, the NBA's new conquering heroes, returned from Los Angeles to parade through the city streets. But as vibrant and alive a city Detroit is today, that has not always been the case. There was a time you could find more horses than cars on the streets of Detroit and in this country. Then, along came Henry Ford and his assembly line, and soon enough, cars like these. But nowadays, you have to visit the Henry Ford Museum for a look at a car like old 999, a high-wheeled, wooden frame machine with engine and driver exposed to the elements, controlled not by a steering wheel, but by a tiller. Famed Speed King Barney Oldfield made headlines trying for 75 miles an hour in this car. But that was in 1903. This is 1989. Some of the world's greatest drivers will test these streets in the Detroit Grand Prix. Among the men in their flying machines, you'll see Emerson Fittipaldi, winner of last month's Indy 500. Mario Andretti, a former world driving champion. Hollywood Danny Sullivan, the champion, still on the mend from a broken arm. And then there's Al Unser Jr., who came in second at Indy, the fastest of the new generation of racing Unsers. For all the drivers, it's been a week of festivity, a chance to crush some flesh before hurling their way through the unforgiving city streets at 175 miles an hour. Indeed, the auto industry has come a long way from those early days. Today, it has 155 miles to go for $1 million as CBS Sports presents the Valvoline Detroit Grand Prix. It's a grand and glorious Father's Day here in Motown. Temperature in the mid-70s, clear skies, a touch of humidity, an ideal day for a sporting event. Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Economaki, excited about the arrival of Indianapolis cars here in Detroit. Right now, there's 28 of them lined up here, ready to go. And in 7 of them, drivers under 30 years of age, including the 2 front row starters, pole man Michael Andretti and his row mate Al Unser Jr. So you can see that the accent on speed here today is one of youth. Michael Andretti, how are you going to handle that man Unser alongside when the green flag drops?
Well, we'll have to play it by ear, really. You know, our goal is going to be to beat him into the first turn. That's what we're going to try to do.
Okay. Last night at dinner, Al Unser said he was going to be very patient during the course of this race. Al, how patient?
I don't know, Chris. We'll just have to see how the race unfolds, and we'll determine how patient.
Well, good luck, Al. Okay, and now let's go down the road to my colleague, Mike Joy.
Thank you, Chris. Yes, youth has the front row, but here, right behind in row number 2, the emphasis is on experience. Emerson Fittipaldi, twice world champion and Indianapolis winner. Your experience in the years you've spent in these and other open-wheel cars, how much a factor will that be when you head off into turn 1 and get ready to rumble here?
Well, you know, turn 1 will be equal to everybody. Have to be careful, be a tough turn 1, turn 2 today. And it's a long race, and I hope I can be there at the end of the race. I'm looking for my Marlboro car is beautiful, balanced, beautiful, and full tanks, and all the Marlboro teams well prepared.
All right, best of luck to you today.
Thank you very much.
And right alongside another world champion, an Indy winner and champion, already strapped into his Newman Haas racing machine, final belts being applied to Mario Andretti out of Nazareth, Pennsylvania, getting set to go with his son in the front row. Mario, the boys up front have talked about youth, but what about experience and the ability and the knowledge gained over long years to manage the car and keep a good car under you for the duration of this race?
Well, I guess time will tell. So far, they've shown us a little bit, and we'll see what happens in the race itself. As you said, I think it's going to be fairly tough on equipment, but still, you're going to have to go very hard to stay competitive. So it's a fine line here between...
Talking to his crew right now and getting set to be bolted in, encapsulated in his machine. Well, youth on the front row, and any young, fast driver can put together a good lap here at Detroit or on any of these challenging street circuits. But experience and men like these may well likely prevail at the end of this Detroit Grand Prix to keep this machine in peace and ready to go. We'll be back with all of the pageantry, the excitement, and the racing as they get ready to rumble here in the streets of Detroit with the Valvoline Detroit Grand Prix. Stay with us.
CBS Sports Special. The Valvoline Detroit Grand Prix is sponsored by Valvoline Motor Oil. People who know use Valvoline. AC Delco, automotive parts that don't just fit, they match. And by Budweiser, Beechwood Aged, for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you.
Somewhere there's got to be a cure for athlete's foot.
Step up to the mic.
Call a new era in Detroit. I see it as a new attitude. The Formula One contingent was never too happy with Detroit. The bone of contention was always this track. They said it was too rough, too brutal on their cars, too many blind corners. Well, for an Andretti or an Unser or a Foyt who grew up on half-mile dirt tracks with lots of big ruts, this thing is a walk in the park. Tom Sneva said yesterday, this is a great track. All you need here is a strong holding rope and a good pair of spurs. They're getting ready to put the spurs to the cars in just a moment. Coleman Young, the mayor of Detroit, is about to give the command to start the engines. Let's go to it.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
"28 cars coming to life. 13 foreign drivers, 15 United States campaigners getting ready for this go. There are still some naysayers about this track, but one thing that they all agree upon is that turn 1 will be critical today. The end of the longest, fastest straightaway. And to give us more about that story, turn 1, let's go to our colleague today. Honored to have with us three-time Indianapolis 500-mile champion, Johnny Rutherford.
Thank you, Ken. And as you can see by the tire marks, this is a very serious turn. It's located at the end of the longest, fastest straightaway on the course, making it a prime place to pass. The cars are attaining speeds of about 170 miles an hour there, so that explains some of these tire marks. Emerson Fittipaldi told me this is the most gentle turn on the entire race course. Well, if that's the case, then we ought to see the rest of them, I guess. Ken?
So let's take a look right now at the rest of this 2.5-mile course. David Hobbs gives us this description.
Let's go for a lap with Al Unser Jr. as he approaches turn 1 at about 170 miles an hour. Brakes, changes down to third for turns 1 and 2. On the approach to that corner is a potential passing place. Onto the back straight behind the grandstand here is another passing place in the race. I'm sure we'll see some out-braking into here, turn 3. Up this bumpy hill, I don't expect to see much braking because this turn at the top is very sharp. Here again is not a very good passing place. The road meanders left, and then left again, so it's very easy for the lead driver to block out any passing attempts. Down to seconds, he comes out into the park at the highest point of the track. Under the trees, a nice place for Sunday afternoon stroll, but not today. Hard on the brakes again. There might be some passing going into this complex. He stays in second all the way through this, left, right. You can see his little old head wobbling about there. This car and this road is very, very bumpy. Under the car park there on Larned Street is particularly bumpy, and he'll get up to about 145 miles an hour as he brakes and changes down to first gear for this left right-hand complex. Not quite so rough as he gets back onto Jefferson here, up to fourth gear again, and again about 145 miles an hour. Now there will be some passing into this corner, I'm sure, just in front of Cobo Hall, but there won't be any passing down this little bit here. Snicks it up to second that he goes through this right-hander into the dark under the pedestrian walkway. Some passing may be here, but difficult. Down to first, the tightest corner on the track, as he accelerates under the Atwater Tunnel, back into fourth gear again, and about 145 miles an hour. Bursts out into the sunshine, brakes hard for here. There would be some passing here, but on the right, where the guy is going to go by, it's very, very bumpy offline. Down into second, now he's back on Riverside Drive. Up to fifth gear, checks the gauges, and his pit signals on the left there as Al completes another lap at round about 87, 88 miles an hour.
Well, the cars are off on the first of their two preliminary laps, and the Alfa Romeo, Roberto Guerrero's car, not firing, having trouble out here. And from the in-car camera, you can see him being rolled back here as they try to get that car fired. And Steve Saleen car, the California driver, in trouble being rolled back. David Hobbs is alongside again, one of the most versatile drivers in the world. What about this race?
Well, as you can see from that lap with Al Unser, it's extremely bumpy around here. And with 17 corners packed into his 2.5 miles, that means these guys are going to be taking over 1,000 corners this afternoon and making more than 2,100 gear shifts. This, with the tremendous G-loading from accelerating, braking, cornering, means that this is one of the most physical races of the year, and stamina is going to play a very big part in this afternoon's proceedings. A lot of people say to me, aren't drivers really athletes? Well, I can tell you, if you do 62 laps around here at full race speed, you have more than a modicum of athletic prowess. To see how the field shuffled out so far, let's go to Ken Squire, who's got the starting grid for this afternoon's Valvoline Grand Prix.
Here is the starting lineup for the 8th annual Valvoline Detroit Grand Prix. On the pole in the Paul Newman, Carl Haas, Lola Chevrolet from Nazareth, Pennsylvania, young Michael Andretti. Alongside, already a winner this year at Long Beach, California, Al Unser Jr. In row 2, it's the two-time world champion, winner of the Indianapolis 500 this year, Emerson Fittipaldi. And beside him comes the 1978 world champion and 4-time national IndyCar champion, Mario Andretti. Row 3 from Roseville, California, Scott Pruitt, a rookie on this circuit. And starting 6, Bobby Rahal, the 86 IndyCar winner. In row 4, car number 1, Danny Sullivan, defending national champion in the Penske car. And from Italy comes Teo Fabi with the March Porsche machine. In row 5, it's the 3-time Indy 500 winner, Rick Mears out of Bakersfield, California. And Arie Luyendyk from Holland in the beautiful Dick Simon Car 7. Row 6, Derek Daly of Dublin, Ireland. And Raul Boesel from Brazil. In row 7, it's Kevin Cogan, back from that terrible crash at Indy this year, and James Weaver of Wiltshire, England. Row 8 is Didier Tays from Belgium, and Fabrizio Barbeza of Monza, Italy. In row 9 is the 83 Indy 500 champion Tom Sneva and John Paul Jr. Row 10 is Bernard Jourdain from Mexico City and Steve Saleen from California. From Canada in row 11 comes Johnny Jones, and from Colombia, Roberto Guerrero in the new Alfa Romeo March car. Row 12 is the 16-year racing veteran Pancho Carter, and from Finland, Tero Pomerov. Row 13 is Dominic Dobson from Fairfax, California, and Guido Dacco of Milan, Italy. And in row 14, the all-time IndyCar champion A.J. Foyt and Randy Lewis rounds out the field.
Steve Saleen's car, the California driver, being pushed off the course, and this may keep us under caution on extra lap. 2 preliminary laps now may become 3. The pace car on the track being driven by Al Unser Sr. Meanwhile, Roberto Guerrero's car, that's the new March Alfa Romeo, in trouble, and Mike Joy is standing by with Johnny Caples.
Ken, he is rolling again, going around the circuit. Johnny, what was the problem on the pace lap?
Well, I think we probably had just a slight electronic glitch in the system, and it's been rectified now, and we hope it doesn't blip us for the rest of the day.
He's had a chance to take a lap and catch up to the field. Does he say everything's okay?
Yes, everything seems to be all right at this moment.
Okay, does this mean he'll have to go to the back of the field now?
Well, we weren't that far from it now, but if he can gain his original starting position, well, then he's entitled to that.
Okay.
If he can't, he has to take the green wherever it falls when he comes around, because they're going to get the green this time out.
Okay, and he's trying to catch up to the tail end of the field right now.
Johnny Caples, with whom Johnny Rutherford had some victories in bygone days.
Oh, yes, we had a couple of them, and I hope the Alfa Romeo team does well today.
Well, I think one thing we're going to really have to watch out for here. The front row is Michael Andretti and Al Unser, and then right behind them is old dad himself, Mario. These three are 3 of the most aggressive drivers in IndyCar racing today. And I know that their heads are going to be telling them to take it cool around here because it's a difficult track to make a mistake on, but their hearts are different.
Oh, staying under caution when we get the green flag. It'll be dropped today by John Barr, president of Valvoline Oil Company. And the start may be under yellow. That first lap may be run off. A yellow start. Laps will be counting due to the fuel allotment today, which is, gentlemen,
well, the magic number is 1.8 miles to the gallon.
And they've been using up a lot more in the qualifying. Fuel is going to be a major issue here today. 40-gallon tanks running on methanol, reusable resource out here. Field getting set for the start. Unser Sr. driving the car on this Father's Day, and his kid backed up right behind him there in the front row. Steve Saleen, who crashed in practice at Indy, having trouble with his car. We have 3 onboard cameras. One will ride with Al Unser Jr. for this race. One is in the very back of the field with the new Alfa Romeo, Roberto Guerrero, and one is with Derek Daly. There you see the number 10, and Derek Daly going down into the St. Antoine section of the course. He uses a unique approach in preparing for the quick turns here at Detroit.
First thing I do when I come here, get on my moped, go around each corner, sit on the apex, look back and forward, get it in my mind, take a corner by corner until I have it all in my mind, then take the map of the track home with me, put it up on the mirror in my hotel room, and just look at it constantly, get a mental picture so as I almost know the track before I actually get into the car.
Here they are down Congress Street, coming up on a very hard left-hander. That's one of the in-car camera machines today. Derek Daly, fine driver out of Dublin, Ireland. Number 10, the Renault Racing Team, and right behind him comes Raul Rosell. His car, 3rd place in Indianapolis this year. Here's Al Unser Jr. taking the field down Larned. What's starting under yellow going to mean to these drivers today, gentlemen? Getting ready for green, I think, this time by, too.
I think it will take a little bit of the edge off, Ken. You know, they're all hyped up and the adrenaline's flowing and they're ready for that green flag, and it will prolong it a little bit. So I think that that might be in their favor.
I'm not sure whether it'd be better or worse, actually, because they just get even more pumped up on another slow lap. But hopefully it'll take away that first lap danger.
Down by Coble Hall. Coming to green this time by, they say. There you see the number 6 of young Michael Andretti and young Unser right up there in the front row. Fittipaldi and Andretti in row 2 as we get set for a start. Youth persevering on Father's Day here in Detroit as we get ready for a go.
Well, Dad's not far behind.
No, not too far at all.
And Emerson, of course, is no spring chicken.
No, and I remember one time in Portland race out there on Father's Day when Michael Andretti was leading the race and had a bit of a problem right at the end, and Mario just barely nipped him. So that was, I guess, Michael's Father's Day present to Mario.
0.007.
Very, very close.
Yes. Closest kart race.
Very close.
Of course, Mario is absolutely amazing, I think. I mean, the guy's 49. He'll be 50 next February. And to be driving in this type of racing like he does, as competitive as he does, is absolutely astounding.
Getting set for a start. Green flag being dropped, and we are away.
So no caution for the first lap.
There was one. They ran one off under caution and then turned it loose.
Oh, and a spin at one.
Into turn number 1. That looks like one of the Andretti's.
Yes, I think that's...
Is that Michael or Mario?
Mario must have been touched back there and spun in the latter stages of turn 1.
I think he tried to go around the outside and got nudged.
Mario Andretti back underway.
Now he touched the wall, but how hard did he touch it?
Paul Newman Haas car coming back up to speed. Meanwhile, in front, Michael Andretti and Unser. Let's take a look at what happened down here in turn 1 as we went under green.
Ooh, just touches Emerson's front wheel. Emerson, of course, could not go anywhere. He couldn't steer further left because he was already running right up to the guardrail, and Mario tried to go around the outside.
Just touched the outside wall, and it might have been hard enough to do some bending there, but we'll know shortly.
Down to Cobo Hall they come. First time through here at speed. This could be an overtaking place before the race is over. And you're riding with Al Unser Jr. as Unser comes underneath this first little overpass, getting ready for the Atwater Tunnel next.
You can see that head going. You can see how these guys get buffeted around in there, and they've got 62 laps left, and the temperature's up this afternoon, so stamina really is going to play a important part.
So this is the hottest it's been.
Yeah.
Pump house turn. Now into this very long straightaway where there used to be a chicane. Gone this year. It's flat out all the way now to turn 1. Down across the start-finish line. Michael Andretti in first. In second, Unser.
And third is Scott Pruitt. He's doing very well. The road racer, the Trans Am champion, two-time Trans Am champion in third spot.
And Sullivan, broken right arm and all, up to fourth. Mario Andretti getting ready to come in, and Fittipaldi is slowing. He may have taken some abuse in that first lap.
Yes, he has a flat right front tire, it appears, and he's nursing it back to the pits to get another one. What a shame.
Oh dear, let's hope there. Well, Mario's still out there in the thick of things towards the back of the field, but he's overtaken a number of the cars.
The 1989 Indianapolis 500-mile champion in the Pat Patrick car. In big trouble, the Penske Chevrolet-powered machine, running slowly, trying to get back in, get a tire change. Meanwhile, up in front, here's Fittipaldi now into the pits, and here's Mike Joy.
Mario, we'll have to pull him back.
Mike?
Emerson Fittipaldi coming into the pits, and boy, what a blow to this first lap. He and Mario Andretti apparently getting together. He's bringing it in very gingerly here. The right front tire is down. It's just skidding along. Mechanics go to work. These cars, of course, with a single center nut. Removing that wheel is the easy thing. Trying to find out what's wrong with that right front suspension may be a little more difficult and certainly time-consuming. After a quick cursory look, the new wheel being refitted, they've taken the opportunity to change other tires as well. Fittipaldi down off the jacks, and it will take a couple of laps before we see if the damage is fully controlled.
2 laps complete under green as Fittipaldi comes back out in car number 20. Let's go back with the leaders. Here we see Michael Andretti into this long straightaway. Right there is where the chicane was a year ago. Unser line right there in second place, trying to chase him down.
So these two have picked up almost a lap on poor old Emerson Fittipaldi already, because he's only just left the pits and they're about the length of the straightaway behind him. That was a 21.3 second stop for Emerson, but of course it was a very slow lap leading up to it, so he's lost nearly a whole lap.
Teo Fabi putting a lot of pressure on Bobby Rahal further back in the field as they go for fifth. There you see it. There's Rahal, and right behind him you see the Porsche March car. The green and white machine is Teo Fabi, and in front of him the blue and yellow colors of Bobby Rahal, Craco Racing Team. And there you see Rick Mears and Lyondike. Mears in the familiar yellow, red numeral number 4, and then Lyondike in that beautiful black Dick Simon car.
Bobby Rahal and Teo Fabi, of course, having a great wealth of road racing experience, both of them cutting their teeth on the lesser Formula Atlantic, Formula Ford, Formula 3, and of course being probably able to show their prowess better here on this course.
Battle for fifth. Fabi looking very strong with the March car. Porsche engine, had a third place at Milwaukee in the last outing, and Derek Walker gave most of the credit to Teo Fabi for the brilliant job he did. And don't forget that Fabi had a great finish here a few years ago in Formula One.
Yes, he has had the luxury of running here several times, so he does know the course.
Battle for fifth continuing. Back in the 6th spot, Fabi. 7th, Mears. 8th, Lyondike. 9th is Derek Daly. 10th is Bozell. Here at the Valvoline Detroit Grand Prix.
There's a motor oil that advertises world-class protection.
Full course caution with Michael Andretti and Unser still pursuing first place. Scott Pruitt doing an outstanding job in third. Sullivan, broken arm and all, in fourth. Bobby Rahal closing in fifth. Full course caution because Derek Daly and Raul Bozell's cars came together and created a situation which called for the crews to come out here and work on the track. That's where we are right now. Let's go to Leslie Visser for just a moment.
Well, it's certainly a celebration here in the city of Detroit, and part of the reason is standing up here with me on the veranda overlooking the river. 2 of the men, Isaiah Thomas and Joe Dumars, who brought an NBA title home to the Motor City. Isaiah, what's been the most memorable memory of it so far?
I didn't hear you.
What's the most memorable? What are some of the things that you remember since winning it?
The thing I remember the most is the parade, how, all the people turned out in the city of Detroit just to say thank you. The support was overwhelming, and, it made us really feel good.
Joe was, of course, the MVP of the championship series, and you won't have Rick Mahorn, but what about next year? Back-to-back titles?
We hope so, but I'm not predicting anything.
What do you guys think of this sport? Walter Payton tried it.
We're going to leave it to Walter. Walter can have it.
Well, Congratulations to you both. Back to you, Ken.
I thought Joe was getting really interested. He was down there with Raul Bozell just before the race, taking a very careful look at that race car. But he's taking a look at 3 or 4 laps and what's happened right here, as you will now see what happened to the Doug Shearson car number 30. Here they are. There's Daly in the red car on the outside. The red, white, and blue car is the Shearson car, being driven by the man who finished 3rd. Ooh, he really took a lick. Got pinched going in the corner, and that's the end for Bozell for sure. We understand that the Daly car came around, and as you watch here, you see Kevin Cogan putting on the binders and slowing down. It happened right here at turn 3, and that's the spot that Teo Fabi was telling us this morning would be critical. He thought there was going to be a lot of incidents right here as they make that right-hander onto St. Antoine. Here is Weaver, James Weaver, great endurance racer, cutting his teeth on Indianapolis car racing with the Dyson team.
Well, he and I drove this time last week. We were both thrashing around the Le Mans 24-hour in the same team. Neither of us finished. There's Bozell's car being lifted up on the crane. It looked to me, I must admit, on that replay, that old Derek Daly wasn't giving old Bozell exactly a lot of room.
No, it really wasn't.
Pretty early, didn't it?
It was a classic pinch job, and of course Bozell came out on the short end of the stick, having the right front suspension, as we saw there in the pictures, crumpled up, and the car is finished for the day.
So the Lola Judd of Daly has creeped back to the pit, and Raul Bozell's car is out of it for the day. Let's go to Mike Joe.
Raul, first off, are you okay after that spin up in 3?
Yeah, I'm okay.
What happened up there?
Well, I have the corner. I pull inside to overtake Derek, and he just pull out and block and put him in the wall. So he's a well-known driver. When you are around him, you have a problem. He doesn't look in his mirror. He thinks he has the whole racetrack, and no, that's what happened. And you fight with a guy like that.
Sorry to see you out of it.
Thanks.
An unhappy Brazilian, Raul Bozell, who had a confrontation just a year ago with Derek Daly. In fact, a couple of them, one at Pocono and one at Miami, John.
Yeah, that's the of course, this kind of course where you're turning so tightly and working so hard with a car, those things are going to happen. You've got to make a clear shot to get up beside someone before you can make a move like that, or you're going to stand a chance of winding up just like Raul did.
Field being wound all back together for a restart here. Both Daly and Bozell had raced here previously in Formula One competition. Here's Derek Daly in with our onboard camera. There you can see the Celine number 69 just in front of him as he comes back out.
Yeah, you saw Daly's crew give him a signboard that said fuel reset, which means his onboard computer, he has to set it back to 0 so he can keep track of his fuel. It's just a new innovation. It's something brand new.
Well, it's one of those things they're going to have to do in this afternoon's race, although this caution, plus the first lap, which was under caution, is going to help their fuel problem this afternoon. Everybody you speak to says, no, we don't have a problem, but we think some of the other guys have. And as we've spoken to pretty well everybody, I don't know what's going to happen this afternoon. Let's go to Mike Joy down the pit.
David, Steve Celine is a rookie in this form of racing, and they have a unique problem. It's an electrical difficulty. It manifests itself only when the car is rolling slowly under caution. That's why he had trouble on the pace lap. They've been chasing it all week. Haven't quite been able to find it. If he can get back up to speed, he's fine. But these yellow flags could end his race.
Celine trying to get back in this thing. Done some racing in those endurance series of the SCCA. Cutting his teeth on Indianapolis cars. We mentioned had a little problem at Indianapolis of major proportion in qualifying. Tore up a race car.
Yeah, he used up just about everything he had at Indianapolis this year, I think. But sometimes when you're a rookie, that happens.
Steve races trucks a lot, doesn't he? Yes. This is the latest thing now, is truck racing, and Steve's very good at that.
7 laps complete. Neat one here in the streets.
Yeah. This is where we should have a truck race, all the places.
See that 91 car right there? Taze has come from 15th up to 9th in the early going. He's having Didier Taze having a great run here.
My last year Le Mans co-driver, the place is full of Hobbs cast-offs. Rutherford was my co-driver at Indy in 1970.
Tell him how that one wound up.
Well, that was a bit new.
Didier Taze is being challenged by Kevin Cogan back in 10th, and just in front of that 91 car is Ari Leyendijk in the Dick Simon car number 7. Reviewing the standings at the present time, Michael Andretti lies 4th, Al Unser in 2nd. There you see the Leyendijk car, that black gold livery. He is
currently in the 8th position. 3rd overall in the race is Scott Pruitt. 4th is Sullivan, doing an outstanding job. In the final final practice period yesterday, which is the time they usually run on full tanks, he was 3rd fastest, but you don't know if they really had them filled all the way or not. But indeed, he looked very impressive. Sore arm, and I can't believe they cut away part of the steering wheel for him. But he's going to have a very pleasant afternoon here in Detroit. He's hurting some.
Well, it could be. Get down to the end of this thing. It's you know, the adrenaline and the things that you can do, superhuman almost occasionally out there, that will tell toward the end of the race.
1 lap to green.
And I think if there's too many caution flags, that will in fact probably play, although it'll give him a bit of a break, I think if it delays the race and makes it longer, in some ways it could be worse for him.
Could be. 7 laps now complete, 55 remaining to be run here today. You're watching it live on CBS, our full flag-to-flag coverage of the 8th annual Valvoline Detroit Grand Prix as they try to get a little more heat into those tires and get set for this restart. There's Danny Sullivan. What an outstanding athlete he is. Thursday, Danny Sullivan was in to see the doctors for a special road course adjustment here.
Well, it's an all-new cast, and the other one started just below my elbow and ran all the way over my knuckles on my hand and wouldn't allow any movement at all on the arm. This one just is a short cast that covers the brake on my forearm, has a little extension, goes up to the back of the hand so I can't come back too far. So it's a completely new brace.
Last time I saw an all-new cast, it was in 42nd Street.
See if we can get a look at that steering wheel. There's the modified steering wheel, gentlemen, that he's using today.
I tell you, he's got his work cut out around here. There's very tight corners, so he has to move that steering wheel a long way to get it around these corners. Like Indy, for instance, the wheel movement is very small. Here, it's every single one of these corners. You've got to turn the wheel a heck of a long way.
Full lock, both directions. Yeah. I don't think you could get to full lock, or if you did, you'd be in serious trouble. But it is a substantial turn. You would go probably 180 degrees with the steering wheel one way or the other.
I believe Tom Sneed was saying he had one or he was crossed all the way over here.
Yeah, coming into Cobo Hall for sure, you know, Atwater Tunnel. And, of course, you got to shift gear 30-odd times a lap.
Yes. Taze is driving for Ludwig Heimerath Jr. as we get set on the start. An update from Chris Economaki.
Well, Dr. Terry Trammell, who treats Danny Sullivan, after seeing the beating that drivers take on this circuit, had second thoughts this morning about letting Sullivan start. They had a discussion, and they talked back and forth, and the doctor finally gave in and let Danny start. But for a while there, he wanted him to stay out of the car. That's how tough this racetrack is. Back to you.
Danny's very concerned today, Chris, about his arm and how it's going to work for this many laps. That's not particularly with as many hard right-hand turns as we have here. Mike Joy has this report.
Well, Raul Boesel fried Derek Daly pretty good on that incident. But Kim Green, you've talked to Derek and seen it on the big monitor floating out in the river. What did he say happened?
Derek said that Raul came down the right side of him and they made contact. Probably a racing accident. The drivers always blame each other. We've got a little bit of bodywork damage, but we just came in, changed tyres, and put fuel in it and went back out. Handling seems okay.
Okay, so you're okay for the finish, you hope?
We think so, yes.
Kim Green with Derek Daly's car.
8 laps complete, this time by going under green as they'll come to the line. And we are racing once again at Detroit in the Valvoline Grand Prix. And there's a challenge from Munster Jr. And here comes Sullivan moving up underneath the red car number 3 of Scott Pruitt. Battle is for second place, and it's a dandy. And it is Danny Sullivan moving through. Sullivan going to 3rd spot. Busted up or not, he is hot here this afternoon. Sullivan into 3rd. Pruitt lying 4th. Ray Hall is 5th up St. Antoine.
Pretty gutsy pass out under any circumstances, and with a slightly dodgy arm, because that's another thing. I mean, if he gets his front wheel banged up pretty hard here, either on the wall or another car, that could easily re-break his arm.
Oh, it could snatch the wheel out of his hand, or the spoke catch his thumb, and boy, it really gives your hand a ride.
Sullivan has been here before. 1983, drove in Formula One for Tyrrell. Car broke mid-on in the race, wound up 18th, which is a non-counting position in the F1 ranks. Steve Saleen has just come back on the course. Here you see the leaders. Michael Andretti stays up in front, Unser Jr. in 2nd, and a new challenger in 3rd. It's the Penske PC-18. Danny Sullivan is there. The Paul Newman car, Paul Newman and Carl Haas machine staying up in front. There you see the number 1, closing right up on those 2 leaders. Dandy scrapping the early going. A little further back in the field
In 5th is Rahal. 6 is Bobby. 7th is Mears. 8 Lyondike. 9 Didier Tays, driving for Ludwig Heimrath, who broke a rib. He'd been out here practicing, but then just was in too much pain to give it a go for the 155-mile distance. Lying 10th is Kevin Kogan. 11th is Jourdain, and 12th is Tom Sneva.
Here we see the leaders coming down this bumpy front straight here in front of the river.
About 170 miles per hour right here as you dive into turn number 1 through this giant horseshoe. Scott Pruitt, new to the Indy ranks this year, in the car that Bobby Rahal drove to that marvelous victory at Indianapolis for the late Jim Truman.
They all seem to be very content to settle into a position once they get back under speed and kind of get equal distance apart and stay there.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's one of those circuits that kind of dictates that to a certain extent. It's not very easy to overtake. That's a great shot at the back of that car, isn't it?
Yeah, it's looking back as they head down Congress Street here, just by the Crane Communication Building in Detroit. And there you see from the Unser car, the pursuit of Danny Sullivan.
That really gives you the speed.
Wow, boy, doesn't it ever? I mean, that is a heck of a shot.
Here we are on Larned. They've just gone underneath the Omni Hotel. Hard braking here.
Very hard braking.
Fair place to overtake right there.
Brakes actually are another thing that these guys are going to have to start thinking about conserving this afternoon a little bit, because these cars are heavier than the Formula 1 cars.
There's the 71 car in trouble and dropping out of this race. And that would be Tero Pomeroy, the Finnish driver, in a Lola Cosworth. Galen Fox, the gentleman who put that car together, and Pomeroy, the driver from Finland, won't be around to complete this one this afternoon.
He's what you could call a Finnish driver.
You believe that?
I don't believe I said that.
Just stumbled out, right, David? Back with the leaders. Here they are. Andretti first. Unser second. Sullivan third. And you're watching live the Detroit Grand Prix. You're on CBS this afternoon, and thus far it's been a marvelous battle, and it's been Michael Andretti. The story has been further back with people like Didier Tays really on the charge and moving up through. Here's further back. There's A.J. Foyt. And right behind him is Weaver. A.J.'s number 14. That's the black car in the orange livery. A.J. had a big fire with his car yesterday, and Jack Starnes, one of his mechanics, was burned pretty severely on his left hand. He suffered sunburns on his right, but very severe burns on his left hand.
He's letting everybody through there. Is he going to pull in the pits? Oh, he is, yes. He's going to be going slowly. That blue car that passed him was James Weaver, who, as I say, was driving last week at Le Mans. Is a good long-distance driver and was practiced and qualified very well here, really. But he had a long pit stop before that caution flag.
Foyt had started out back and moved to 17th before he elected to pull into the pits right now. This happening in lap number 11. We're working lap number 11 at the present time with 51 remaining. Supertex, four-time winner of Indy. We thought that if things were wrong, they'd probably take our colleague, Johnny Rutherford, out and stick him in the car. You don't fit that 14 too well, do you?
I have a seat that fits it. Yes.
And I just happen to have it with me.
I just happen to carry it with me
my helmet, my gloves, and my own.
Right.
My driving license.
Well, they're averaging 62 miles an hour around this 17-turn, 2.5-mile course. Here is Mike Joy.
Go to strap it back up. Terrell, what's happened to your car?
Oh, the car was handling fantastic, I think, and but we had electrical problem. The engine went off suddenly, and when I came back down there, I had to pull in because it's really no electric.
So he is out of the race.
I don't know, but it looked like it's electrical for me.
And with these electronic management systems, Ken, that has been a problem up and down pit lane all weekend.
And that's one of the problems that A.J. Foyt has had. He doesn't have an electrical system, and it's really given him fits.
Yes, it has. He did not have the electronic fuel management system, and running on a course like this, it is really tough.
Mario Andretti is charging up through the field at the present time while his son continues to lead and dominate the event. Mario had that first lap incident. Here's A.J. clambering out of car number 14. Not a happy A.J.
Now it appears he's finished for the day, so that's a shame.
Going back to the horse farm, I guess. Ooh, bit of a passing move there.
We'll be back to follow more of the story here of the Detroit Grand Prix. Stay with us for live flag-to-flag coverage on CBS.
There's a motor oil that talks about quality. Always has.
We're back with you live at the Detroit Grand Prix, and there you see the standings. Michael Andretti lies first. Unser in second. Sullivan third. Pruitt fourth. And Bobby Rahal maintaining fifth position. 12 laps complete here. And here you see Mario Andretti just making a move to take seventh place from Fabi. A move into seventh position. Remember that Andretti had trouble on the initial lap, coming off the course at turn 1. And you've just seen the move that has put him into seventh place, and he was well back 15th or 16th after that initial skirmish.
Yes, I think if you wanted to see all of the places that you can possibly pass on this racetrack, just watch Mario Andretti during the next few laps, and you'll find out, because he's just seems like he's passing him wherever he comes to.
I was going to say, because that is not one of the points. When you drive around this track, you say, oh, I think this is one of our passing spots.
Right.
Here's Mike Joy with a report on AJ.
AJ's out of his car, and apparently it's going to be a short day. AJ, what happened?
Well, it's been a short week. You know, Cox has promised us a lot of stuff that we haven't received yet. It's on back order on the manual fuel system. Gets all electronics, and you just can't run with them. And I had it running real lean. You accelerate off the corners, and we was running real hot water temperature.
Had a little tough day yesterday afternoon. How are Jack Scarnes and Eddie Thrapp here after a little pit fire?
Well, they're fine. His hands are burned a little bit. And Eddie Thrapp, my sponsor with U.S. Tobacco, you know, his hands got burned. But just one of the misfortune things that happened right before qualifying, where we had the explosion in the pits with the car. And I was just glad that, you know, that it wasn't more serious than fortunate.
The way it's gone, it's like the best lap you'll run this weekend will be to the airport.
It's just one of them weekends. If you race long enough, you're going to have them. And from the day we got here, we've just had a bad day and can't cry over spilt milk. It's one of them things.
AJ Foyt.
And the man standing right behind him is Eddie Thrapp, who was also burned yesterday out of North Carolina, known in the stock car ranks for a lot of years, and been with AJ now 2 or 3 years. They get along real good. Bad break for AJ. Meanwhile, up in front, it is still Michael Andretti there with Unser Jr. maintaining the second position. Danny Sullivan in third. Pruitt is fourth. Rahal fifth. Mears is sixth. Mario is closing, but he has a lot of distance to catch Rick Mears in the sixth position.
One more full course yellow, it would do it. He would make a day of it.
Here you can see perhaps the interval. There's Mears, and perhaps we'll see just how long it takes for Mario Andretti to enter the picture here and give us an idea of what that interval is between car number 4 that is running at the present time in sixth position.
6 seconds behind about, and Theo Fab is just pulling the pits too in the Porsche March. I noticed looking out the window, which I'm not supposed to do, but I am.
Watch the monitor. There is Mears in car number 4, still line 6. Mario Andretti to 7th, and Didier Tays has come to 8th position. At Lola Judd is having an outstanding run. Derek Daly, meanwhile, is sorting himself through some traffic. There's Johnny Jones, and diving underneath him goes John Paul. Here we are coming onto the long straightaway to bring us to the start-finish line. I think we have an ill-handling car number 10 for Derek Daly. You can see perhaps on the back of his helmet as he rumbles down through. A lot of cars going by him here.
Seems to be down on speed somehow. Way down. Because when he accelerated onto the straight there, John Paul, you could see John Paul's car as it disappeared from view, that it was really honking on there. He had a lot of wheel spin, and the tail was out. And of course, he's using the V6 Buick, which is same boost as these guys on these road courses, but of course it's bigger size.
After 10 laps, here's how the entire field is running. If you have individuals that you care about in this race, follow this along as we follow Derek Daly around this 2.5 mile, 17-corn course at Detroit, around the Renaissance Center. Bobby was in 7th. He's just come in and slowing down as he comes up St. Antoine. His car number 10, Derek Daly. You may have seen him coming to a halt here and finishing his day.
I think that appears that it is over for him. I don't know why he didn't make an attempt to get in the pits on that lap, but it might have happened after he got by the pit entrance.
Because if it happens just as you come in the pit entrance, you think, too late.
Yes.
You've gone by it.
Yes,
you can't go back.
You can only go as far as you can go. And of course, that's uphill. That straightaway he just stopped at the top of there.
Lewis out of his car. His car broken out of this race on pit road.
They have a side pod cover off of that car, so obviously they're working on the electrics.
Here's Chris.
I'm down in Danny Sullivan's pit, and this is Tim Bumps as he's talking to Danny right now. Sullivan has been telling the people in the pits here that he can't believe the bumps on the circuit. He's looking very good on the racetrack, but apparently he's not feeling all that well. Maybe we can find out from Bumps here exactly what Sullivan is talking about here. But Bumps is concerned with his work. You can see the concentration on the crew chief's face here as he's trying to decipher what is being said by his driver out on the circuit. Here at Detroit, with these big buildings, there's only certain areas on the track the radios work, and they fade away when they go behind some of the buildings. Oh, well, I guess we're going to have to wait on Bumps, and we'll catch him a little bit later on. Back to you, Ken.
Michael Andretti in first. Here you see Unser in the second position. Coming through the Atwater Tunnel. It's Detroit where it's happening today. Race number 5 for championship auto racing teams, kart. At Indianapolis this year, a USAC sanctioned event. Emerson Fittipaldi coming home first. Here is Unser about 3.5 seconds back to the leader, Andretti.
There's no doubt about it that Michael Andretti has definitely got a severe lock on this race at the moment. But there's a long way to go. There's at least one more pit stop. And, of course, they can have all sorts of caution flags.
Sullivan pitting. Third place car, number 1. Danny Sullivan on pit road. Here's Chris.
Well, the story here in the Sullivan pit, and here is Danny Sullivan rolling to a stop right now in front of us. I don't know whether it's a car or a driver problem, but they're talking to him. They're not working on the car. And I guess it's Danny has had his day here. They're taking him out. We'll get a word with him when he steps out of the car. Tough break. He was up to third place and doing a magnificent job out there. And you can see the attention that the crew is giving Danny Sullivan, getting him out of the car. You've seen how he has to get out with just one hand helping him. His right hand is useless here towards the extrication process. As we said earlier, the doctor had second thoughts about letting him go, and perhaps maybe the doctor was right. All right. Yes, I'm moving in here and hope to get a word with him. Tough day, Danny?
Yeah, just a lot of problems with the arm. And Dr. Trammell, he x-rayed it again this morning, and it's starting to separate again.
Oh, my great job out there, moving past guys up to third place. It must kill you to have to pull in.
Yeah, because, you know, it's good, and everybody's worked that hard. And, you know, the guys worked hard, and the car was good, just to sacrifice that.
How much pain is it, Danny?
Well, it's as much as I've had since I broke it, so there's just no peace around here. There's no place, and I nearly hit the wall twice on left-handers because I couldn't turn it enough.
Oh, you're smart. Good luck to you, and thanks so much for your time. Better luck next time. Danny Sullivan, a pained look on his face out of today's race after moving to third place. Back to you, Ken.
Started 7th, moved to 3rd, and the arm finally ends the hopes of Danny Sullivan of having a good finish here today.
Well, of course, the other thing is
6th.
The thing in racing too is, I mean, a racing driver's got to live, you know, and run away sometimes to live to fight another day, because there's no point. I mean, he's got a very heavy schedule. They got Portland next week, Cleveland the week after. There's no point in just re-breaking the arm again.
So we continue to watch. Michael Andretti in first, Al Unser in second, Scott Pruitt in third, Bobby Rahal in fourth as the battle in the streets of Detroit continues. Hovering over the Detroit Grand Prix, the Goodyear Blimp Enterprise out of Pompano Beach, Florida. Pilot Captain Patrick Henry from Parsons, West Virginia, giving us these amazing pictures today of this very beautiful event. Let's take a look at the race summary at this point. There you have it. It's been Michael Andretti up in front all the way from the point and averaging just 70 miles an hour, just 70. But about 170s they come by us. 5 cars have retired. This track is a car breaker. The cautions, 2 so far. That was because we started under caution, had a lap under caution at the beginning. And then, of course, we had the Daily Bozell, and Sneva has taken car number 9 into the wall. That's the Buick-powered machine. Tom Sneva, who is running in 13th, is just retiring his car with a hard shunt. Let's see if we can discern exactly where on the course he has gone off. Turn 7, I believe.
Now that might bring out a full course caution, which of course would be wonderful for Mario and Emerson Fittipaldi was 26th on the restart, and he's now 7th. And Mario, of course, as we know, is 5th, right behind B. Rahal. And if this brings out a full caution, it'll help those guys.
Yes, most definitely it will give them a chance to close up. And then, of course, Emerson took on fuel during his stop, so he'll have a little more leg than some of the others.
There you see where the car number 9 has come to rest. It's right as you go on to Congress Street. It's Tom Sneva, the 83 champion, and here's car number 65, Johnny Jones, just in front of Michael Andretti. Michael Andretti, the leader in lap traffic. Right behind him is Weaver. Full course yellow is coming out. Third time today we'll see them, and this will do exactly what you were talking about. Emerson Fittipaldi to his advantage here, and to Mario Andretti's. Emerson changed the right front tire after an incident in lap number 1. Fell from 20th, then came back to 7th. And remember that here's number 69, Jourdain, in the pits. Tad early for this full course caution. A real advantage for Mario Andretti, who has charged all the way back to 5th and was lying several seconds behind Bobby Rahal in 4th. And for Fittipaldi, who's made a marvelous charge from 20th back to 7th with 19 laps complete, 43 remaining.
Jourdain killed his engine trying to leave the pits there, as we saw. Mike Devon is crew chief on that car now. It was my old crew chief years ago.
There we see Emerson going under the yellow flag, and of course, I suppose you could.
Here's Chris.
Well, Michael Andretti's in the pits, and the car's up on jacks. All 4 wheels are being changed. He's goosing the engine. He's throwing his drink back. This is going to be a quick one. There, the car goes back down, and he goes out in 13 seconds, right on the mark for the leader, Michael Andretti. This kind of work will win him this race today. Back to you, Ken.
2 stops had been planned. 2 stops in this 155-mile event.
And right on lap 20 out of a 62-lap race seems like a pretty good spot to have an incredibly convenient caution flag to me.
I would think so. It's
Tom Sneva's not very happy about
it. No, it's not very convenient for him.
He can't make it.
There's Mario Andretti in the pits. Boy, is he on the charge.
He's gone. Look at that.
Unser Jr. now takes over. Here's Mears. Had been running in the 6th position, falling back behind Andretti. Rick Mears back on course. Unser Jr. is your leader. Scott Pruitt now coming to 2nd. Rahal to 3rd as we come into this period for pit stops. And coming with a full course caution now being shown. Pace car is on the track, and it's Al Unser Sr.
There we can see Tom Sneva, I think, car being extricated from the tire barrier and probably being moved away to a safer place, wouldn't you say?
I should think so, yeah.
So it's a perfect time for an intermission here as far as the intense racing action is concerned, and gives a chance for Andretti and for Fittipaldi to get back in this thing. We're back with you live once again with Johnny Rutherford and David Hobbs alongside. I'm Ken Squire, Mike Joy, and Chris Economaki. In the pits today, Leslie Visser giving us some updates from other vantage points of this great Detroit Grand Prix in its 8th year. And we're under a full course caution, an opportunity to gather this field back up with Michael Andretti after the caution period and that brilliant 13-second stop staying in front. So you look further back now, Al Unser Jr. will stay 2nd, Scott Pruitt 3rd, Rahal being shown in the 4th position, Mario Andretti in 5th, and the 6th position will be Rick Mears and 7th, Emerson Fittipaldi. So not much of a gain in positions here, but they'll be bunched up, and it should be a great scrimmage when we get back underway. Michael Andretti out in front, and we asked the pole sitter if there's any part of this race course that you can relax on.
The track is very bumpy, and most of the bumps are on the straightaways, so you cannot relax anything because you have to hang on to the steering wheel, otherwise it'll jump out of your hand. So, you know, there really is no place to relax. That's what makes this probably one of the most physically demanding tracks that we do race on during the year.
Here you see Michael Andretti in the number 6. See him get waved by there? Pace car is picking up another part of the field here.
That's why he waved the leader by. I don't understand.
Here's Celine back on pit road another time. There are 21 laps complete of the 62, 41 remaining. Steve Celine back in another time. So as we're
under caution. We'll pause for these messages and then be back with more live action from Detroit in the Valvoline Grand Prix. By Al Unser. There you see James Weaver's number 15 tucked in behind it here. And there is the pace car. Down here in turn number 1. It's created a situation we're going to get another lap, I believe, under caution before we get them away. A small bit of confusion, but it sometimes happens. Meanwhile, as we have it, the leader is Michael Andretti. Unser is in second, Pruitt third, Ray Hall fourth. We saw the front 7 cars wave by the pace car, and then there was a fairly good-sized gap, but then no pace car. The rest of the field came around. There's your leader, Michael Andretti. We're showing 22 laps complete, and part of the safety crew just coming back here to turn 1 where they keep those cars parked. After 20 laps, let's show you how they were running. Cars in the race here in the 8th annual Valvoline Detroit Grand Prix. Here's how the field was deployed at the end of 20 laps. We're now working the 23rd. Unser Jr. was in second. Scott Pruitt maintaining a good stout third with his best run yet for True Sports. Looking further back, Fittipaldi all the way back up in 7th. Barbezza having a pretty good day of it. Certainly is.
Fabrizio. It's very good, you know, from Milan.
Johnny Jones, the Canadian driver. Guerrero up to 17th with that brand new Alfa Romeo.
Yes, after they had a false start, the car would not start on the grid for them.
Here we are on one of the more picturesque portions of the Detroit Grand Prix course, and one of the more difficult. You really get some horsepower working here.
And the road, just as you can see, moves a little bit under you there, so you sweep right and then left. And while you're in the middle of this sort of left-hander, you've got to start thinking about braking hard for the very tight left-hander.
Weaver's car, it looks like it has a small fire under there, or is that just...
It appears that it's smoldering in the cockpit. You can see, I don't know what's going on there.
You can see some smoke out the back.
Yeah, I see popped the fire extinguisher.
Let's take a look at attrition, and we can add James Weaver to it right now. Here are the cars out of the race for one reason or another. We'll try to give you as many reasons as we can. Of the 28 that started, 22 were then remaining. Cut that to 27 and 21 now. 28 and 21 still remaining. 7 cars having their problems here in the early part of the race. 22 laps complete.
Bit ironic for James Weaver's car to catch fire this week, because last week his Porsche caught fire at Le Mans. He'll be getting a bit
nervous about incendiary crazy.
What would he smoking?
Detroit celebrating all week since Tuesday. There you see the old Guardian building and the brand new Madden building here. It's just beside the course. That building in the back with the single American flag, one of the most beautiful Art Deco buildings of the 30s, find in any city in the United States. Detroit really spiffed up. They've had a grand celebration about this race coming, and of course about the NBA Finals. Detroit,
they were crazy here with the NBA Finals and all of the parade that we got to see when we came in town.
There have been 2 parades in 2 days, really, and then they had the Commodores here on Friday night, and that was all for the Pistons, and it was packed and it was free, and people had the best time here at Hart Plaza. It was to be part of the program for this great weekend of racing, but it certainly involves everything that is Detroit in the sports world right now. Al Unser remaining in second place, Al Unser Jr. We asked little Al what makes this race different from the other IndyCar events.
The physical end of it, it's a very demanding track, but most of the IndyCar drivers are very well physically fit and all that, and so it's going to be one of the races that you're going to have to be nice to your cars again, and that hasn't happened in several years. You know, the technology of the car has been very good.
Technology just getting better and better on these guys. Sometimes technology works against you, John. You get so much technology that it can get like Formula One into a parade of one team versus the rest of the world.
Yes, and it can create a situation where you have so many things that can go wrong in a car that sure enough, something will go wrong.
Well, high tech certainly does not mean good racing always.
Let's take a look at some new high tech here. Roberto Guerrero, remember, he went all the way to the rear. You're riding with him now, and he is back up to the 16th position after coming from dead last. He says the Alfa's getting better each time they run it. This is the first time it has performed in competition. It's turned some miles here in Michigan and tested in Italy, but this is the first time under fire.
And there's a high-tech people mover. I did a lap on that the other day around town, and I couldn't get off at the Renaissance Centre because the stop was shut for the day, and I didn't know that when I got on it. It was a nice trip, though.
How many laps did you make before you found a way to get off?
2 or 3.
Well, here you see the field gathered back up, scattered well apart. There was a 5-second interval between first and second or more for Michael Andretti. That goes away as we prepare, and there you see the number 21. That is Roberto Guerrero in the new March Alfa Romeo. They made their big announcement. They had the press here, and they had it in, what, 5 languages? It was quite an announcement.
It was very impressive. The entire operation is very impressive, and to have Alfa, another new engine manufacturer, in the fold is great because it gives something else for the fans to root for.
That's where we saw Mario whistle by Rick Mears. No, not Rick Mears. Who did he pass there? He passed Hogan there, which is not exactly a great place to pass, but just as they come out of the tunnel here, they got one more little right and left, and they'll be on the front straight away, and they're going to get the green this time by.
Quickly to Mike Joy.
Well, Derek Daly is out of this race. He's been giving us some great pictures during the afternoon. What happened to end your drive?
Electrical misfire, which is something that has plagued us over the last 4 races, and the car just stopped up at turn 4.
What happened with you and Guerrero on the incident when he dropped out of the race?
I could see what he was going to try and do, and on a corner like that, I was in the middle of the road and protected my position, which is exactly how you drive in a street circuit.
Trouble down here. That is Barbeza having trouble in turn 1, trying to get back underway, spinning in this very skittish turn 1 area.
Stalled it appears he stalled.
Apparently he touched with Paul Jr., and that's the outcome of it. He lies there on the track and can't get refired. Back to Mike Joy.
Derek, this racetrack gets very narrow at times.
It really does, but I mean, we all know that. I mean, this track is governed by a different set of rules than a super speedway or something. There isn't the same room, and you've got to be aware of that. Turn 2 or 3 was the very corner we spoke about at the drivers' meeting, about being so slow when you're trying to race a car there. So, you know, I'm surprised you made such a stupid mistake.
Well, is it a case of just emotions building up to start of the event, and everybody wants to get a good jump? Things like that happen so early.
Well, you know, they should be able to control emotions in a situation like that, but, you know, it'll happen again.
Sorry to see you out of it.
Thanks.
Derek Daly.
Let's take a couple of looks here at what happened to Barbeza down in turn 1. John Paul on the inside. Yellow and blue car.
He lost the right front wing as well. You can see it sailing off of the car there. He just missed Fabrizio, and Fabrizio just missed the tires, so it came out, other than John Paul losing his right front. Here we see a little closer angle. There we have Didier Thays, and there you can see Barbeza being punted around and the right front wing sailing out of the view. And of course, John Paul missing him on the inside. Barbeza sliding backwards. I think he still had his engine running here, but he sidestepped the clutch to go, and it coughed and died, and then he had to be pushed away.
Indy Rookie of the Year, 1987, and there you see right where it happened, just down below us here at turn number 1.
Some more tracks down there.
Field is away and running, and they are under green, and Unser is closing on Andretti. That's Al Unser Jr. closing on Michael Andretti. And here you see that battle for first position with 26 laps complete.
Of course, that's one of the things about this type of racing as opposed to Formula One. One of the real beauties is that with the pit stops and, of course, the caution periods, you can all... Oh! No,
Something's amiss.
Al's out. Something has just happened to his car, and he raised his hand to let whoever was behind him know that he was in trouble. He's had a light that came on. I think his engine must have expired, because he had the yellow light, the oil pressure light there on by his right hand. Suddenly came on, and he put his hand up, and he knew he was finished immediately.
So the Rick Gallis team out of it here, second in Indy this year, and that dramatic finish with Fittipaldi. Let's go to Chris Economaki.
I'm here with a disappointed Rick Gallus. I just saw your look on your face change, Rick. You got the word from Al. What's the story?
Yeah, I think we lost something probably in the suspension. Maybe a half shaft broke or something.
This is a tough track, isn't it?
Sure is. Yeah, we lost something yesterday. We knew it was going to be tough, so looks like it's probably just be an endurance race out there.
It's a tough break. Rick Gallus, Al Unser Jr.'s car owner, stepping away from the wall now. His day is done. Back to you, Ken.
This will move Scott Pruitt into the second position. Remember, he won in Trans Am on this track, second in '88. And he could be a real contender before it's over, the way this track continues to gobble up cars.
You can see little Al get very wide there and suddenly pull across. So whatever it was caused his car to move out of the groove and go straight for a bit, and then he was able to pull it back in.
Most likely a drive shaft in that case, then probably.
I think so.
From the in-car camera, another time, Al Unser Jr. retiring from the 8th annual Valvoline Detroit Grand Prix.
Now you can see here he goes wide out of the way, and then he gets his hand up to signal and turns in cross traffic to the other side of the road and into a safe spot.
Just at the end of Woodland.
How disappointing.
Yes.
But we did say this would be a race of attrition, and it will be. And I believe, in fact, that Bobby Rahal is going slowly now.
Say Rahal is coming down, and Mario is on the charge. Mario Andretti all the way back to third. Bobby Rahal's car may be pitting at this point. Getting a report. Here is Bobby Rahal's car just into the pits. Car number 18, which has had a pretty good day to date and coming back on quickly. Just coming by us now. 27 laps complete. 35 to go as Rahal comes back out. And the story is Mario Andretti, who has fought his way back into fifth position. And on the board, it's Andretti's 1 and 3, father and son.
And there's Fabrizio Barbazza going very slowly and pulling into the front of the pit.
Barbazza's car just down at the entrance to the track at the end of the pits, and he brought it to a halt and is being pulled back there. It's almost directly across from us, but it looks like his day will be over as well. Meanwhile, up in front, this is the story. Michael Andretti at Lola Chevrolet staying first on the field.
There you can see Mario closing in there.
There's John Pauls, number 96, with a wing gone on one side, bent. And here's the fourth place battle. Rick Mears is right there. Emerson Fittipaldi with him. Is that Emerson?
Emerson Fittipaldi has just overtaken Rick Mears.
That's fourth. Emerson Fittipaldi into fourth. Rick Mears falling to fifth.
Yeah, that's going to be a good race. Now, the thing is, can Emerson Fittipaldi make up some ground on that front trio, which of course comprises Andretti, father and son, and Scott Pruitt. Scott now the meat in a horrendous sandwich. Talk about jam sandwich this morning. Now he really is the meat in the sandwich.
Yes.
Wouldn't want to be between those two.
Let's take... there is Lyondike car. Larry Lyondike collects the wall.
It appears that he had the wheels locked up when he made contact. There's some telltale.
Lyondike running in 6th. And here's John Paul's car falling by the wayside now.
Oh dear, because the wing that he knocked off was his right wing, the one on our left of our picture. And of course, it's allowed the whole wing structure to move away from the car.
Yes, that's
somewhat wider. Lyondike's car doesn't look too bad.
I think he might have just gotten into the corner a little hot, it appears, and locked up the wheels and slid to a stop right up against the tires, and they backed him up and pushed him away.
Yeah.
Unser Jr. out of the race after a good stout run here at lap 27, retiring from the 8th annual Valvoline Detroit Grand Prix.
Wanting to know how to get back to the pits.
And he's all the way on the far side of the course.
And that means you got to go to the Ren Center and everywhere else. And
go to his hotel room, change his clothes, come on back, give the folks the notice. Meanwhile, in front, here's Mike Andretti in first. Here's Mike Joy.
Bobby Rahal is back in the pits, Ken, for the second time within 2 laps, and apparently he went out, but whatever damage there was to the car could not have been repaired. Looking at the rear suspension, again changing the rear tires. Any sort of small vibration will give the driver a problem. Shaking things, it's a time-honored method of trying to find out what's loose. Right now they're not having a lot of luck with it.
Looks like it might be toute fini the way they're...
A fairly emphatic signal from that mechanic kneeling down there. Again, rear suspensions, drive shafts, transmissions have always been a plague at this type of track. You just can't avoid it. All that first and second gear acceleration just plays havoc with transmission.
The Andrettis are the story of this race. Mario Andretti has just moved around Scott Pruitt. and he's taken second position. So the Andrettis are 1 and 2. Father and son, or son and father, 1 and 2 at this place. And here you see Mario Andretti just in front of the number 3 of Scott Pruitt.
And right into the top of the picture then, just behind Scott Pruitt, came your actual Emo. So the old guys at the moment not putting on too bad a show. We've got another 30 laps to go yet.
Mario Andretti trying to close in on his son. He was saying the other morning to Chris Economaki, he said, who do you think's really strong? He said, I think my son is as good as there is out there, and he's going to only get better. Remember 1986, Portland? Mario was first, Michael was second. It was on Father's Day that it happened in Portland in '86. We'll be back with more of CBS Sports coverage of the Valvoline Detroit Grand Prix after this commercial and a word from your local station. Hot weather. Ready second, Scott Pruitt third, Fittipaldi next, and then Rick Mears rounding out the top 5 here at the Valvoline Detroit Grand Prix. The interval, the speed in the last lap was an 83.9 mile an hour average on this 2.5-mile track. There's third spot, and then you saw the red and white car of Fittipaldi. Emerson now being shown in the 4th position.
There's Mario, second spot. Not making much ground up in his son. There's Scott Pruitt.
There you see Mario Andretti, second there. Now here's Fittipaldi back here.
Emerson is really closed up.
Yeah, he's closing up, and he's actually closing up, I think, on Mario, because Mario got around Scott Pruitt relatively quickly, but did not put much daylight between himself and Scott. And meanwhile, Emerson's caught them both up. And young Michael Andretti, in the meantime, has in fact pulled away a bit, I think.
Contest is for third spot right here. Let's go to Mike Joy with Bobby Rahal.
Well, Bobby's got a nice seat here in the pit wall, but for a while, Bobby, you had one of the best seats in the house out there. What happened to put you out?
Oh, I just touched the wall just ever so slightly, and unfortunately, I don't know why, but I mean, it should be a little stronger, but it bent the upright and broke the upright, I guess, and disappointing. Yeah, I mean, I think we have to beef them up a little bit.
What is the course doing to these cars? Is there a lot of banging around out there?
Well, it's very tough. It's, not much time to relax, and our car was running real well. The Craco car. I mean, we ran 44s, I think, in the race, and I mean, I barely qualified at that. So it's just unfortunate. It's too bad.
Sorry to have you out of it, Bobby Rahal.
Well, what happened, Bobby? Well, nothing really. No, nothing. It just broke. Oh, did anything else happen? Well, I don't know. I might have hit the wall. Well, did he hit the wall? Well, yeah, I kind of ran into it 100 miles an hour.
Halfway of the race, 31 down, 31 to go here in the Valvoline Detroit Grand Prix. David Hobbs, John Rutherford, I'm Ken Squire, Mike Joy, and Chris Economaki, Leslie Visser along to bring you this great racing classic in its 8th year and first year with the Indianapolis cars on this track. And my, what a performance we've had thus far. Teo Favi has moved back up to 8 from 16 after some pit stops. Al Unser has just retired. Al Unser Jr. Here's that battle for third. There you see Scott Pruitt under pressure from Emerson Fittipaldi in the white and red number 20.
Not a good man to be under pressure from. The Indy 500 winner this year and a 2-time previous world champion in Formula 1. He was a world champion when he was 24. And he's about to give old Scott the blast off, I suspect.
Here is Chris with Carl Haas.
Carl, you're a car owner of the first and second place cars, a father racing his son on Father's Day. Is that a delight or a dilemma, and what are the orders?
It's a delight at the moment. We're hoping we do well here. It's Kmart's hometown, and we'd love to win it for Kmart.
What kind of orders you got? You going to let Mario race Michael?
We sure are, but right now Michael's in the lead. Mario's 5 seconds behind him. We're keeping our eyes also on Emerson Fittipaldi, who's right behind both of us. So it's still a very good race.
He's not telling us what the orders are. Back to you, Ken.
It's a great race, and here's Emerson moving to the inside. Emerson Fittipaldi, only the 4th driver to win both the Indianapolis 500 and the World Championships. Clark and Hill and Andretti have done it, and this man has done it in car number 20. The great Brazilian driver Fittipaldi picking up another spot. He goes to 3rd.
It'll be interesting now to watch and see just how fast Emo closes in on Mario, because Mario doesn't seem to be moving in on Michael that quickly. He's just holding his own. But Emo is moving up very fast.
And I can tell you what, that when he does cut out with Mario Andretti won't let him by like old Pruitt did. I thought Pruitt actually was very, smart there, really. I mean, Emo had got him nailed, and he knew it, and he let him through.
Well, let's face it, when a guy, you can check your mirrors one straight away, and on the next one look, and there's somebody suddenly there that didn't just fall out of an airplane and land there. They're obviously going faster, so you give them a break.
Emerson Fittipaldi, who has won 2 of his 7 IndyCar races on these artificial courses, closing in on the leaders in the Valvoline Detroit Grand Prix. Two world champions are battling for second place here in the Valvoline Detroit Grand Prix. Mario Andretti, the white, red numeral number 5, Emerson Fittipaldi, twice world champion. Here they are in a slugfest for second place through the streets of Detroit. 17-turn, 2.5-mile course, and this is the scramble. 2 of the finest drivers in this great century of motorsports coming to a conclusion here in a year or 2. These are 2 names that will be remembered. Fittipaldi and Andretti putting on a marvelous show. So smooth, so right, timing so perfect. Meanwhile, Mario's son Michael continues to dominate this event with a several-second advantage over the squabble for second place.
Mario has really...
There's the leader. Now let's get that interval, Dave. There's the interval to second.
It's quite a considerable.
To Chris Economac.
Here's a disappointed Al Unser. Al is soaking wet. It's not been an easy day, I know. The track must be beating these cars to death, huh?
Well, the track is very rough on them, sure, but most of the leaders are still out there running, and seem like they're running real good. So
several cars have gone out. What exactly happened with yours?
My car was left rear half shaft broke on it, so the shaft itself, it wasn't a CV or anything, it was the shaft itself.
The metal broke.
Yeah.
You had planned to take it easy and race a little bit later on. Were you living by that plan?
Yeah. Yeah, we were saving fuel. We were short shifting. You could see Michael pulling me on the straightaways, but he was also working very well in the corners. So it was going to be a tough race for me to pass him, but
Well, his father's chasing him down now, and it's going to be interesting to see how that happens. Better luck next time, Alan. Thanks.
Thank you.
First race that Unser Jr. has not finished since September 1988, Nazareth, PA. Look at this scramble. Mario not giving much. Here's Mario getting through that corner onto St. Antoine just on time. Keep Emerson back in third spot.
Emerson Fittipaldi very, very wisely did not pursue that because he just knew that if anybody out there was going to give him the chop, it would have been Mario. Mario made the straight incredibly narrow on that last approach to turn 1 where our man Johnny was standing at the beginning of the show and said this is going to be where people are going to pass. If the other driver lets him, well, Mario didn't let him.
No, he didn't. There's the leader. And here's that interval to second place.
Increasing quite a bit. Now, Mario is undoubtedly holding Emerson up now. And Emerson will be getting, I don't know about desperate, but he'll be wanting to get after Michael.
It appears that Mario is able to pull away on the straightaways of any length. And Emo is able to close up on the tight stuff and move down in on him and work him over in the short straightaway. So it's going to be close.
But I think Mario has definitely lost a bit of way because Michael's got a huge lead on him now.
9 seconds.
Entire length of this front straightaway here.
So here's the battle for second that continues as car number 5 stays up there. Andretti, the Lola Chevy V8, battling the Penske Chevy. Great fight. More of it shortly. As we come back, a tremendous pass put on by Emerson Fittipaldi, getting around Mario Andretti in the long main straightaway under heavy braking. Fittipaldi has moved into second place. They've been having trouble getting the power to the ground with those Penske PC-18s here, but Emerson's car is just running like a train. Let's take a look at that pass once again for second place. Down to the start-finish line.
There you can see he's feinting to the outside and then diving to the inside. Mario had to hold a line. Look at him. He locked the brakes up right there and made tire marks on the pavement. Tremendous move on Fittipaldi's part.
Boy, he had it there. I mean, he locked his rear brakes there and left some pretty serious rubber on the track. He was pretty
That's interesting to see that they've got rear brake bias.
Yeah, very interesting.
I put that down as the move of the day.
Oh, yes, definitely.
So do I.
Now, while we were away, the following has happened. Kevin Cogan spun his car, but there was no full course caution. Cogan spinning, the young man, 33-year-old driver from Palos Verdes, California. Here he is in the pits that had that terrible crash in the initial laps at Indy this year. Scott Pruitt has pitted car number 3 and come back on the track. He has fallen to 6, but that may be to his advantage to have made that pit stop.
If he can go to the end, it is, for sure.
Now, of course, he'll be lucky to go to the end, I guess, because he came in on about lap 36.
Now here's Roberto Guerrero's car, which is up to 9th from last. This is the new Alfa Romeo powered March. And let's take a look at a race summary right here. The race has been dominated by Michael Andretti. We are showing 38 laps complete, 24 to go. The average speed around this 2.5 miles, 17 turn course, very slow at about 72 miles an hour. 3 full course cautions. And here you see the number of cautions that we've had and the reasons for them. And here are the cars that are out of the race. And that continues to build. 28 cars starting, and they say that 18 are remaining. I would have that as 17 on our latest count. We'll see what. Here's the leader by 10 and 8/10 seconds. Michael Andretti in first. Fittipaldi is now in second. Mario Andretti is third.
And Fittipaldi is pulling away quite rapidly from. If we can stay on this shot for a bit, we should see the
interval.
The interval, which we won't. But yeah, Mario is definitely. Emerson's pulling away quite handily from Mario Andretti, having got round him.
Well, let's see if we can find an interval here between the first and second place cars. There is second, and he's around the Lyondike car, which is missing part of that front wing.
It's the front wing, one of the rolling wounded. Michael is just doing it so smoothly. His car is not bouncing and bobbling like some of them we've seen, and he's just able to do it.
Here's Mike Joy with Pat Patrick.
Well, let's listen in on pit stop strategy here. Taking a look at a couple of different possibilities here. Well, Pat, if your man's going to make the pass and make the big one, nice to do it right in front of the pits and get to look at it again right on the screen. He is moving up in a hurry.
Well, we're very, very grateful. As you know, Mario took us out the first, lap, and we started last again. So we really think we can win the race. Emerson's a tremendous driver, and he has the ability to do it.
Now, this pass certainly accounts for track position, but will it all be for naught if you have to come in and pit in just a couple of laps here?
I'm sorry, say it again.
I say if you'll have to come in and pit in a couple of laps, but still the pass stands good, at least until that. It's a good move.
Oh, yeah, he has to do that, and we get in and out. Mario and Michael have to pit about the same time we do, so we'll see what happens on the pit stop. We can beat them in the pits, we got them won. So.
And that should happen within the next couple of laps.
2 4/10 of a second already the difference between Emerson Fittipaldi and Mario Andretti, the interval between second and third spot. So that Penske PC-18 is really working.
Yes, they do have it operating.
Rick Mears is up to 4th. Teo Fabi now finds himself 5th. Scott Pruitt is 6th. Bernard Jourdain is in 7th. Didier Tays is in 8th. And Roberto Guerrero lies 9th. Dominic Dobson into 10th here at the Valvoline Detroit Grand Prix. We're back with you live at the 8th annual Valvoline Detroit Grand Prix. And this shot from the Goodyear blimp makes the 64th year that Goodyear blimps have been appearing at major events such as this Detroit Valvoline Grand Prix. Nice to have it here, so it makes it an official event. Watching as Michael Andretti continues to lead by 10 5/10 of a second over Emerson Fittipaldi, and they both should be pitting for the final time very shortly. Let's get an update on the whereabouts of Leslie Visser right now.
Ken, there are good seats at an event, and then there are great seats. Of course, for these, you have to wear a wetsuit to enjoy them. On the slim chance that a car could jump the track and plunge into the Detroit River, the Detroit Harbor Master has assigned a safety boat to patrol the area. Now, it has 6 divers and a doctor on board. They say they've never had a car jump the track yet and go into the river, but they're ready with flippers up. Ken?
Thank you very much. Well, of course, in Monaco, they've had 1 or 2 end up in the drink.
Absolutely. Old Paul Hawkins being one of them.
Your old buddy.
David. Right, David, I don't know what happened then, mate.
The The lead is now 12 and 7/10 of a second between first and second. Michael Andretti is the man on the point. Emerson stays second, Mario third, and Teo Fabi brings the marked Porsche up to fourth spot. What a job that car has done here today after having some problems in the early going. Scott Pruitt, having pitted, now lies fifth. Rick Mears is in sixth, Jourdain seventh. 42 laps are complete, and let's give you a complete running order. We are working the 43rd lap. As of 40, here's how the field was deployed around this 2.5-mile track. Give you an idea of where all the campaigners are racing here in the Detroit Grand Prix, as Michael and Mario Andretti continue to be the headliners here, running first and third. And here you see Michael Andretti again coming down the main straightaway. About 170 miles per hour, braking into turn number one. We're braking a lot of cars here today, John, and that's not unexpected.
Well, no, it really isn't, because it is such a tough course. It's rough, and the cars, Michael Andretti, I said it earlier and I'm saying it again, his car is the smoothest by far of any of them, and I guess that's why. Now we have Jourdain parked against the wall. He's done a spin, and you can see his tire marks there. He's up against the wall, and I would think it's probably out of the race, wouldn't you?
Done that left front wheel no good at all, by the other things.
Right.
Probably hit the wall on the other side first and bounced it off into that spin.
Seventh place car, Jourdain, number 69. Here's out of it.
Another one out.
Belgian born, moved to Mexico, and he's just a little fella. Good campaigner.
There we see Emerson about to put a lap on one of the cars.
Dominic Dobson, it appears he's going by there, passing on the inside.
That's the Bayside car. Walter Gerber's the crew chief on that. Of course, very well known in the IMSA pits, having run the Bayside Porsche for the garbage man for many years.
Bruce Levin,
right.
Here's Fittipaldi trying to get any kind of an advantage to pull up on that leader. It's a struggle between the Andrettis and the Fittipaldis once again. It's happening here in Indianapolis car racing. Streets of Detroit, first time the Indy cars have been here, giving a very good accounting of themselves in a track which is really a chassis track. You talk about engine tracks and chassis tracks. Wouldn't you say, gentlemen, this is a chassis track?
It really is. It's one, obviously, like I've said, Michael Andretti is so smooth. His car is working perfectly. It's the way you would, everybody would want them.
Fittipaldi's crew waiting. Pat Patrick's team standing by, ready for Emerson to come in for that final pit stop. They may be getting ready to come in now. He's about to lap Roberto Guerrero if he stays out. Guerrero now lies 8th on the field.
Emerson into the pits.
Here's Mike Joy in the Emerson Fittipaldi pits.
And here he comes, Ken. Chris Griffiths and Pat Chavez set for the front tires. Dog Hamburg and Rick Lambert the rears. Larry Faust has the gas nozzle and the jack. The vent man is Dave Stevens. We'll see how quickly they can get this done. Seconds in the pits. Much easier a game than track possession. We won't know how this all turns out till Michael Andretti makes his stop. They're waiting for fuel. Final stop of the day for Fittipaldi in just about 15 seconds. He's away.
Great stop for Emerson Fittipaldi. Waiting on Michael Andretti to come in and make his pit stop. In fact, both of the Newman-Haas cars have yet to come on for their final pit appearance. Teo Fabi now lying 4th in car number 8, and Scott Pruitt in 5th. Mears is 6th. Didier Tays is in 7th spot. And the front 7 cars are all in the lead lap with 44 laps complete. Far different than we've seen here, David, in Formula One.
Well, of course, the caution flags and the pit stops obviously do help to keep the field compressed together and doesn't allow, for instance, Michael Andretti, who has been the class of the field all afternoon, just doesn't allow him to run away and hide like you get in Formula One with Ayrton Senna, who keeps on disappearing into the distance with nothing to slow him up.
Full course yellow here would be a big advantage for Michael and Mario. Those Newman-Haas cars seem to get great mileage.
Yes, they always have traditionally, and they're doing it right now. They're stretching. We've got in the pits, Michael Andretti. Here's Chris Economaki.
And as you start our watch, let's see if these boys can beat the Fittipaldi man. They're all over this race car. No tires this time, just fuel. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And there it goes, 11.50 seconds for Michael Andretti. No tires and back on the track. His father will be coming in shortly to try and improve his position. They're all applauding here in the Andretti pit.
Brilliant pit stop, seeking his 8th Indianapolis car victory, Michael Andretti of Nazareth, Pennsylvania. And here is his dad trying to search him out and trounce him on Father's Day. We'll be back with more of the Valvoline Detroit Grand Prix following these messages. 16 cars remain in competition. 45 laps are complete. 17 to go. And the new leader is Mario Andretti. Michael Andretti second. Emerson Fittipaldi third. Pruitt fourth. Mears in fifth. Pit stops are the order of the day, and they are changing the order on the track. As matters now stand, Mario is in first. He will have to pit. Michael in that second spot. Then Emerson in third. Scott Pruitt in fourth. And they're in for just a lick of fuel and back on the track. Is Mario Andretti really a proud papa on this Father's Day?
Well, there's no question. I look at this with tremendous pride. I mean, I look at Michael as formidable as he is because he is exactly that. The guy just is awesome, you know, when it comes to handling a race car, and I love to see that. I just love to see that, and I don't think you've seen all of it out of him yet, you know. And so I think that's very gratifying, and I feel good for him, not for anything else.
The closest kart race in history, Portland 86, 7/100ths of a second was the difference, with Mario defeating his son in that race. And Michael, for this Father's Day, says, I think my father owes me one. Mario leads by 1 8/10 of a second. Again, Michael Andretti has made his final pit stop. Now lies second. Emerson is in third. And let's go back to Chris Economaki.
Well, it's interesting. Here's Mario Andretti coming in the pits right now. He stayed out until his fuel light went on. Michael came in and went out and left 2 gallons of gas in the hose. We're clocking this stop here, 7 seconds, 8 seconds, and this is going to be a crucial stop, whether or not he can get by. Now, there he goes, 11.2 seconds, and Mario Andretti is back on the track. Last stop of the day. Back to you, Ken.
Great battle in the pits. Carl Haas really has that team organized. As you can see, here's Mario back out another time.
And right behind him now is Emerson Fittipaldi.
Who has yet to pit?
No, Emerson pitted.
Has pitted.
But he's a long way behind Michael.
So we'll be back with more of CBS Sports live coverage of the Valvoline Detroit Grand Prix after this commercial and a word from your local station. In the 47th lap, a major incident in front of Cobo Hall involving this man, number 20, Emerson Fittipaldi, and Mario Andretti. Watch it here. Battle for second place. Emerson down the inside. They are snarled. They came to a complete halt and could not get away. The first car to fire and come around was Andretti. Fittipaldi was pushed for a considerable distance, and his car finally fired and is back on the track. Now, in our latest report, they are still showing Mario Andretti for second, Pruitt in third, Emerson has fallen to fourth, and Teo Fabi is in fifth. And it is a major break for Michael Andretti, who now gets a lead of about 51 seconds.
Oh, that's a tremendous lead and will be insurmountable, I'm sure, during the duration to the finish, because, like I say, Michael is just so smooth. His car is really operating well.
He's obviously done a tremendous amount of work on the spring damper settings on that car and has really made it work on this bumpy track, which, of course, is the key to success. And, of course, if you make the car bounce around less, it's a lot less tough on transmissions in here.
13 laps to go. Here's Mike Joy.
Chip Ganassi, you went away from that incident up by Cobo. What's he saying? Anything about the condition of the car?
No, the car's okay, Mike. We're just hoping with these pit stops. Mario didn't take tires. Michael didn't take tires. At Long Beach, you saw Little Al. He ran down Mario when they tried that. We're on fresh tires. Hopefully, we can run them down.
Well, that's if the car's okay. Michael Andretti built up a big lead, A, because he had a 4-second faster pit stop, but B, his pit is way up at the head end of pit road. He can slow down quickly and stop and get a full acceleration down this pit lane. Fittipaldi could not.
That's Mario Andretti in trouble another time. That is the second time for ill fortune in the past 2 laps for Mario Andretti, being rolled away here in the Newman Haas car, the Lola Chevrolet, at the pump house turn. Scott Pruitt now goes to second.
Fittipaldi just drove by, so that...
Fittipaldi will go to third. And Teo Fabi will come up into fourth.
Well, we had a report earlier on, didn't we, that Mario might be having problems with his brakes when Emerson passed him the first time. We'd had a note come up from downstairs that Mario might be having a brake problem. Maybe it's something that Mike Joy ought to ask Carl Hart.
Well, first year, Pruitt is playing a very conservative strategy everywhere around this course, and it is paying off for True Sports. He's up to second, the young man that won in Trans Am a year ago and was second the year prior to. From the blimp, you can see them around this first turn here at the Detroit Grand Prix. Into the straightaway for about 140 miles per hour and then into a hard right-hander. More of the action from Detroit shortly. Chris Economack in the pits, Leslie Visser with us to give us another look at this fabulous Valvoline Detroit Grand Prix as Michael continues to lead and Pruitt in second. And here you see that car in fourth. Teo Fabi has brought the March Porsche back up into fourth position. And not too far behind him comes Rick Mears. Mario Andretti falling back a bit. Fabi is going for his second straight top 5 finish. Remember, he had a third place at Milwaukee last time out. And hasn't done that since 1983, having a very good run. Perhaps we can learn more about the Andretti situation from Chris Economack.
Yes, Carl Haas, the car owner, is working in Michael Andretti's pit. I'm with Don Henderson, Mario's manager. What's the story right now? What happened out there, and where is he at the moment?
Jim just quit on him. They pushed him, got a restart. We're about 10 seconds behind Fabi, and we're gaining about 2 seconds a lap, Chris.
How fast is Michael running compared to Mario's time?
I haven't seen that, but we'll check on it.
Okay, thanks a lot. Don Henderson, Mario Andretti very much back in it and going pretty quick.
Here you see the leader, who has almost a 1-minute advantage. Michael Andretti, Lola Chevrolet, Newman Haas team with 10 laps remaining, dominating in this event, looking as smooth as he's been told by his dad that he is. He is just running this race off while his father is having major problems here today.
Now he's going to be jolly careful at this stage too. On that transmission, he's got a minute lead, so he can really afford to pussyfoot it round here, which is one of the keys to success at this circuit. It's a high attrition circuit, always has been when the Formula 1 cars were here, and these cars are faring not a lot better. And of course, the thing you've got to do is accelerate in places like this very carefully, upshift very carefully over all those bumps.
Off Beaubien and now down Lardit, beneath the Omni Hotel another time. Looking very impressive is Michael Andretti in the latter moments of this race.
Yes, as impressive as I've seen a car go on a road course as far as the bumps and everything. His car just doesn't show that.
56-second lead for this man, Michael Andretti. This broadcast is being produced under authority granted by Championship Auto Racing Teams for the private use of our audience. Any reproduction of this broadcast in any form without the express written permission of Championship Auto Racing Teams and CBS Sports is expressly prohibited. Out of the Atwater Tunnel, let's take a look at a complete rundown of the field as we watch Michael Andretti here after 50 of the 62 laps have been completed. Here's how they're deployed. Remember that it's almost a minute lead for Michael Andretti. 17 turns, 2.5-mile course over which they're battling here today in Detroit. Michael pulling a major surprise as he continues to draw away from everyone out here.
And of course his father in the same picture there, but of course Mario, after the incident with Emerson Fittipaldi at Cobo Hall and then his own incident down at the pump house corner, is now a lap and that gap down on.
Gentlemen, what's it like toward the end of a race like this?
Well, I think probably, you've been out there persevering all day, and the car has been beating you savagely, and you've been trying to keep in mind everything that you have to. So physically and mentally, you're starting to be drained, and you are maybe missing things, and maybe not doing it just like you should. Michael Andretti doesn't show that, and I think that's proof positive that his car has just worked magnificently all day.
Of course, the other thing with tracks like this is with the driver basically sitting on the floor between these concrete walls, you tend to get tunnelitis towards the end of these long races because you see nothing but concrete flash by both ears for the last hour and a half, and it can get very mesmeric. And of course, with Michael with a lead like he's got, I mean, it's a bit of a double-edged sword. It's great because he can really conserve the car, but it's so easy to lose concentration if you try and drive carefully.
Just 2 feet 8 inches to the top of these things with 700 horsepower under your right foot. And Michael Andretti is using it so well here in the Valvoline Detroit Grand Prix.
There's a motor oil that advertises.
With 8 laps to go, Michael Andretti is in trouble. Here he is by the pump house turn, running very slowly. What do you think, guys? Half shaft? What's happened here?
Very hard to say at this point.
Stuck in a gear, broken the half shaft. If he'd broken the half shaft, you'd expect the thing to stop, but he's obviously pulling it into the pits.
He has a full advantage. Let's go to Chris Economaki as Scott Pruitt takes the lead.
Well, the story here is that it's gear linkage problems, yet they're taking the nose piece off. The mechanics have screwdrivers in their hands. There's 2 gallons of fuel left in the hose. They're putting that back in the car. Now the car is being buttoned up again. Perhaps it's fixed. The engine was cut off when he made the stop, which is sort of surprising. And it's a transmission problem. They're trying to rock it and get it started. He's still drinking. There, he's throwing about it, and he's back and running. Let's try and find out from one of the mechanics just what the trouble was.
26 seconds. 26 seconds. And he is away. 26 seconds. Here's your new leader, number 3, Scott Pruitt. In his first full season with True Sports, the late Jim Truman's team, what a job he has done for Steve Horn and company. He now has a lead of 7 seconds, and guess who's in second?
Yep, old Emerson, his very self, will now be driving like a man possessed, but he better get on with it because he's only got 7 laps left.
It's now Pruitt first, Emerson Fittipaldi in the second position. Michael and Jourdain's car, the number 69, in trouble, and it's going to be the end of the day for him. That's the second
time he's been into the wall.
We thought he was out a while ago when he stopped against the wall, but
the leader is Scott Pruitt, and Celine is stopping another time. Maybe they think this thing is over.
Well, of course, if they have a full course caution, now what happens? I mean, because it'll take them 5 laps to clear this lot up.
Well, they're not busted. I think, well, that first car, Jourdain's car, looked like it was bent. He's walking away.
Well, that's the second time he's been in the wall.
Yes. Here's Mike Joy.
Steve Horn just went to check lap times with his crew, Ken. He was standing here just kind of eagerly awaiting Scott Pruitt's best ever IndyCar finish, a second. Now the Pruitt's taken the lead. He's pacing like a nervous cat because he knows Fittipaldi is coming. He was with us a moment ago and has just gone to check his lap times. We'll try to get back with him.
Well, Scott Pruitt's mom has been here. She's been with him from the very outset, back in his go-kart days when he was 11, 12 years old and coming on, here to watch him win in Trans Am. And now... wow, what a turnaround for Scott Pruitt, who hasn't had the best start this year at all with True Sport.
he has run that kind of a race, though, Ken. I think he's been very consistent. He's been right there within striking range.
We have trouble on Michael Andretti's car. It's stuffed into the wall, and that's the end of the day for the young man who dominated the event, set on the pole, led all the way, and he's clambering out.
Yes, he threw the steering wheel, very disgusted, obviously. The car went straight into the concrete there, mashed the right front.
I wonder what happened there, because if he was going...
He was probably just trying to catch up, or maybe missed a gear. Had a problem with that.
Disappointed crew for Newman Haas. The story is up in front. It's an incredible story. Fittipaldi is closing. The interval is now 3 7/10 of a second between first and second place. Here's the leader, Scott Pruitt, and there's the giant, Emerson Fittipaldi, clambering back into this thing. It's a dandy finish. Here's Emerson. Laps running down, 6 to go. 56 complete. Scott Pruitt is in first, looking for his first IndyCar win. Emerson Fittipaldi, who won 14 races in Formula One competition, won the Indianapolis 500 this year in this car, number 20, is closing ground rapidly. Emerson on the move.
Ooh, bad place to catch lap traffic, too, coming up to Cobo Hall there.
Emerson looking for his 8th IndyCar victory here today. And time is running out. 5 laps to go, and they come by this time. Talk about pressure on a young man. From Roseville, California, Scott Pruitt in front. The car that Bobby Rahal formerly drove.
Bobby Rahal not having so much luck today, and there's Emerson Fittipaldi. He's got around that lap tracket, but the gap has gone up again just a little bit. Back to just over 3 seconds as Fittipaldi unwinds that lead. Scott Pruitt's been driving a conservative race all afternoon. The sort of guy that we said at the beginning, if you could set yourself a lap time here, and if you just absolutely stuck to it, you could win this race. But as you watched everybody drive up into the distance early on, yes, it would be jolly hard to do. But that's more or less what
Yes, he's been a very, it's been a very steady race for Scott Pruitt, and he's put himself right in the lead.
And the other great performance has been Teo Fabi. He's a 4-time veteran of the Detroit course in the Formula One days. Fabi now finds himself in 3rd place. He's gotten everything there is to get out of that car, but he hasn't overdriven it, and he now is in the show position. Meanwhile, Roberto Guerrero has moved up into the 9th position with that new Alfa Romeo. What a fine outing they're having in their first showing of their new colors. The lead 4 1/10 of a second as Pruitt picked up some traffic to help him a bit. 5 laps remaining. Scott Pruitt in front.
Dominic Dobson there. Now he's going to get Emerson Fittipaldi is going to get caught behind Dominic Dobson, the same place he got caught last time, coming down here through Cobo Hall, which is narrow and twisty, very hard to lap people.
Here you see the leader, and there's 2nd place. John Jones pulled over to let Emo by, so now it's a clear track again for Emerson to try to move in on Scott Pruitt.
Well, what do you think, gentlemen? Can he find him?
It's going to be tough.
It is going to be tough.
Well, you've got to be very alert as you get down to the end of these races, because even though there are fewer cars, there's a lot more things to drive around, not just the manhole covers, but from what we've seen, there must be a lot of debris out there.
That, and Emerson is running the Chevrolet, which is reputed to be the strongest engine on the circuit today, and the Judd engine being in the other car, so that may be the difference.
I think Emerson's definitely got more grunt. He's got more acceleration, which is very important, obviously, on this track where it's all accelerating and braking.
2 2/10 of a second and less now. That was when they came by the line, and Emerson gobbles up the ground as they move back through turn 3. Mario Andretti now being shown 3rd, Fabi falling to 4th, but the story is right here as Emo tries to close on Scott Pruitt. The great Brazilian driver chasing down this young American at the finish of this Valvoline Grand Prix.
Scott Pruitt considerably younger than Emerson Fittipaldi, but both drivers are very fit. Chris Economack is down the pits. He's got something for us.
Well, here's Steve Horn. What's the fuel story, Steve?
Really marginal on fuel. We've been trying to conserve it, but I told Scott to go for it. It's first or run out of fuel, one or the other.
Well, there you go. They're taking the gamble in the True Sports pit.
They're True Sports, all right, mate. That's old Steve Horn. Comes from down under.
There he has
snag
slow
there
traffic.
for young
Yes,
Scott Pruitt.
that will.
And of course, just round the corner, that crashed car.
Pomeroy there.
Is that Pomeroy or is that Guido?
Oh, it's Guido Dacco.
Guido Dacco. Make room, please.
What a move.
Further back
into the tunnel.
Rick Mears in 5th, Lyondike in 6th, Dobson is 7th, Guerrero is in 8th. So it's the American colors and the Brazilian colors running 1st and 2nd to get a taste of the international flavor that certainly has not gone away from this Detroit Grand Prix. And here's the encounter for 1st. Main straightaway, Fittipaldi is fighting his way back into the lead. Pruitt trying to stay with him on the outside, runs him all the way around the corner. The old-fashioned rim ride, David.
He didn't give up there, young Scott Pruitt. He really hung right in there. But of course, that was probably a case of that Chevrolet power just finally nailing the car of Scott Pruitt. Now, Scott, of course, on fuel, you know, he stopped 6 laps earlier than anybody else, so he could well be right down to the last few drops anyway.
And Mario Andretti lies 3rd, Fabi is in 4th, Mears is in 5th. Those 5 cars are reported in the lead lap with Lyondike now back up to 6. 1 lap down. Dominic Dobson 7th, Guerrero is 8th. Didio Tays is 9th. Mike Andretti had been reported in 10th. Here's Mike.
Ken, the other side of that question, fuel is not a problem for Fittipaldi. Remember, they took 15 seconds and stopped with 18 laps to go. They got a full load of fuel, and now with the lead, they think they can make it.
Less than 3 laps remain, Mike. So that fuel story is the Pruitt story at the present time. Fittipaldi seems secure as far as fuel is concerned. But half shafts have broken. Problems have arisen with leader after leader, one in particular.
Just a few minutes ago, of course, we were counting up the points and the money for young Michael, so I don't think we better start counting up the points for Emerson. But if he should win this race, that will put him clearly at the top of the points leader.
What about cockpit management? You get down to the end of these races. Are you as alert? Are you as
ready to do what you need to do here and make the changes when you need to make them?
Well, of course, in this case, we saw that the picture suddenly changed, the complexion of the thing, and Emerson had a chance. He had the leader within view, so he gets a shot of adrenaline, and it kind of clears up the cloudy picture for him, and he moves out and makes the pass. And now is when he has to start really paying attention, because he has a clear track, he has the lead, no pressure, and he could, you know, at this point, with all of the heat today and the bumps in the track, you make that one little silly mistake, and it's all over for you. So it bears watching.
4 lead changes among 4 drivers in a race that was dominated by Michael Andretti. And then the Gremlins got it.
And of course, Emerson, you have to remember, right at the beginning of this race, had a run-in with Mario Andretti at turn 1, and of course dropped right to the back of this field. So he's in fact made 2 charges through the field. One at the first half of the race, and of course the second one after his second contretemps with Mario down at Cobo Hall. So he's had a relatively, in fact, I'd say extremely eventful afternoon.
Well, I think the story here may be that battle for second place. Scott Pruitt in second, but in third is Mario Andretti, and we need to follow that story as we get down to the end of this one. See how Mario is faring in his effort to overcome Scott Pruitt and close it out with a couple of world champions. Here you see Scott Pruitt in the number 3, the young Californian.
But if, of course, Mario's having brake problems, which it certainly looked like, even the way he disappeared off the road there, he may not be able to put much pressure on Pruitt. But, of course, if Pruitt's running out of gas, he may not be able to apply much either.
Think about this, David. This would be the 4th year in a row that a Brazilian has won the Detroit Grand Prix. Senna's done it the last 3. And here's Emerson Fittipaldi back knocking on the door in 1989.
Well, that would be pretty amazing, actually. It's a great statistic. And we can already see the Brazilian flag over the way. The guy going absolutely burlesque with his
white flag, 1 to go. White flag and 1 to go. 8 career victories for Emerson Fittipaldi, tied with Eddie Sachs and Rex Mays and Louis Myers. The Pat Patrick's 31st Indianapolis car win. Of course, that's co-owned now by Chip Ganassi. And Pat Patrick, I think the name is synonymous with this form of racing. Americans who follow the sport. He's a great patron of the game.
You wonder at this point what Roger Penske is thinking. Should I have really sold that PC-18 to Patrick?
Well, I can't understand why his own PC-18 in the hands of Rick Mears is not going just a bit better, really.
Penske cars, 3 of them for Al Unser in the 500-mile races, for Rick Mears, for Danny Sullivan this year, and 1 of those brand new Penske cars made in England went to another team. Went to Emerson Fittipaldi. 1 Indy, and now about to win Detroit. And here is car number 3. What a grand day for Scott Pruitt, a young man with such a brilliant future. Here's Rick Mears closing in on him now in the final moments, and we understand they're in the same lap and running very slowly. Going down into that corner was car number 3.
I bet he's out of fuel. He's experiencing some fuel starvation problems, and the car quit on him.
No pickup. Scott Pruitt falling back in the waning moments of the event after a great day. He drove it well. He didn't get over-ambitious with the steering, with the pedal in the early part of the going. Made it look really good, but it's now falling away from him a bit. That's what it seems to be. We had Mears. I'll take that back. We're now being told that Mears is a lap down, that Rick Mears is making up a lap. Mears in the number 4 Penske car was making up a lap, not going.
There it is.
Checkers coming out, and the winner will be Emerson Fittipaldi. Emerson comes home first. Now trying to hold on for second, and the car is surging here some, is Scott Pruitt. What a wonderful response to a great performer, and truly one of the great champions of the 20th century, the first century of motorsports. Emerson Fittipaldi of Brazil has won the 8th annual Valvoline Detroit Grand Prix. Here's Scott Pruitt literally puttering to the finish line. Remarkable finish for Scott Pruitt. He makes it across the line. Mario Andretti will get 3rd, and Teo Fabi will give Porsche 4th. That's a 3rd and a 4th back-to-back for that new Porsche March organization, and what an outstanding job they're having after a lean year, first time out a year ago. So Emerson Fittipaldi is the winner here today, waving to the crowds at Detroit, and we'll meet the champion in a moment. And there is the Emerson Fittipaldi crew ecstatic. About
their great day. Just a marvelous victory for Emerson Fittipaldi. And there you see Scott Pruitt. And let's take a look as Scott is climbing out of his car at the pass that made the difference and won this event.
Okay, we'll hold him here. If you set up on the
and
other
look
side,
how that Pruitt just would not give up. He hung it on the outside, but the inside line, the short way around the turn was it for Emo. He was on his way to another victory, and Brazil wins again. Emerson Fittipaldi has 65 points, now tied with Rick Mears in the standings. And let's go down and meet the winner.
Here's Chip Ganassi embracing his winning driver. Congratulations, Emo. You made 4 stops today, 2 out on the track and 2 in the pits. What was going through your mind at those times?
Oh, it was an incredible race from the beginning. On the start, I touched wheels with Mario. I punctured front tire. And, you know, my Marlboro car was beautiful the whole day, and it was a fantastic car.
Emo, I've never seen a fighter like Emerson Fittipaldi. How tough a race was it for you?
Oh, it was very tough physically, you know, it was very demanding. I was trying to keep the tires on a good grip, on a good condition, and it was a great race. My crew made a fantastic work. I'm very pleased.
What did you think about the second time you came in contact with Andretti?
Oh, my engine stalled, and I saw that's it. And then luckily I was close to the downhill into the tunnel, and the flag marshal pushed me, and I was able to start, and it's fantastic. You know, the car was beautiful.
Well, good. Congratulations. Thank you very much, Emerson Fittipaldi. Now let's go to Mike Joy.
Well, Chris, as we talked about the start of the day, youthful enthusiasm up front, experience from the second row won this race, but what a drive for Scott Pruitt. Not even 10 IndyCar races under your belt. I asked you Friday if your experience having won in Trans Am here would matter much. You said no. I think it did.
I think it did too. You know, we made that early pit stop. We had some problems with the belt, but you know, I'll tell you what, everybody from Budweiser and True Sports have been very, very good. And, you know, they said that the Judd couldn't run very well. I guess we're turning things around a little bit. We're still getting better with the engine program. I'm even looking for better things down the road.
Everyone was a little tentative about this race when they came here. The Formula One guys don't like the track. You guys have run on it, raced hard. What do you think now?
Well, it's rough out there, but I like it. Best career finish, second. I can't ask for anything else.
What'd you think when you saw Emo looming in your mirrors and you had this thing almost won?
Well, you know, we tried to hold him off, but there was just I just couldn't do it. I mean, he just had a lot more horsepower than I did and just drove around. In fact, I tried to even make the car a little wider, but he just went right by. So congratulations, Emo. He did a great job.
Scott Pruitt, a tremendous day. Let's go back topside to Ken Squire.
A new generation driver who finished second, but it was one of the old masters who came home first today. Emerson Fittipaldi winning. Mario Andretti winding up in third. Teo Fabi with fourth. And we'll have more in a moment.
If you've been
Well, a look at the final standings in the 8th annual Valvoline Detroit Grand Prix. A great day for Emerson Fittipaldi and for all these finishers. 13 came to the line at the end, 15 retired from the event. 4 lead changes among 4 drivers in this great race, and now the kart teams move on to Portland, Oregon, just next Sunday for another grand encounter. It'll have to go some to beat what we've seen here in Detroit. And so, for Chris Economaki, David Hobbs, Johnny Rutherford, Mike Joy, and Leslie Visser, this is Ken Squire saying so long from the Valvoline Detroit Grand Prix.
This CBS Sports Special, the Valvoline Detroit Grand Prix, has been sponsored by Budweiser. Beechwood aged for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. The Die-Hard battery, now with more power when you need it most. And by Valvoline Motor Oil. People who know use Valvoline.